Hello everyone, welcome to the Ichimoku.co daily FX market review for the trading day ending Tuesday, June 23rd. Firstly to the Euro US dollar, and here we see very strong selling in this market today, very large black body candle, and that follows the market approaching the top of the congestion area that I've highlighted for the last couple of weeks. Something of a wedge type pattern, a rather large congestion area in relation to the size of the trend leading into it, a little bit too large, so not a great pattern, but something of a wedge. And now we've had the close down below the bottom barrier, and that does confirm that the pattern has been formed, and we may have a possibility of the market trading lower based on the breakout from the pattern. Problem here is going to be the strong support around the 111.60 region. We have the top of the cloud around there, and we also have the Kijun-sen trading just below there at 111.27. And even though we've seen the sellers build some very solid momentum, and the strongest amount of momentum that we've seen in this market for quite some time, and that's evidenced by the size of the large black body, even though we've seen that, I really do have some doubts about whether this market is going to trade substantially lower. We could see Euro US dollar trade to within the cloud, but we're likely to see some support come in before or even down around the bottom of the cloud, which is around 109.61. On this candle, we have seen the sellers take control, and they have shown some very strong commitment, as I've mentioned, that we haven't seen for quite some time, where we can see these very small bodied shadows as the market was trading within the congestion area, and especially up getting close towards that 114.59 level of previous resistance. Now, if we do see the market bounce off here, obviously 112.89 may offer itself as some strong resistance, as will 114.59. In terms of the hourly charts, and here previously we've seen the market hovering around the bottom just below the Ichimoku cloud, then testing just above with a very distinctive lack of follow-through for each of these occasions when the market's attempted to break out. For today's trading, however, for this session that just has finished, we saw the market finding resistance around the bottom of the Ichimoku cloud and then selling off quite strongly with some very dynamic large black body candles, initially finding support around the second pivot point support level, then rallying very close to the Tenkan-sen and selling off once again and breaching that third pivot point support level. Throughout the trading day, we then saw the market find resistance around that third pivot point support level, which is interesting, and once again find resistance around the Tenkan-sen. Now, very often when we see these extreme days and the market trades through that third pivot point resistance level, we don't tend to see a lot of follow through the next day. It certainly is something of an extreme trading day, so I have some doubt about whether we will see the market test down to the first pivot point support level at 110.86 and then down at 110.04. Those levels are really a long way below where the market's trading at the moment. If we do see the market breach through the Tenkan-sen, trading at 111.65 at the moment in a bullish manner, we should be watching the middle pivot point level, trading at 112.17, and then even the Kijun-sen indicator trading at 112.35 for potentially strong resistance. The significant thing here, however, is that we are trading well down below both the Kijun-sen and the Tenkan-sen, and that's supported by the Chikou span, so it's suggesting that we have quite a strong downtrend in those longer term timeframes. But if we look at the depth of the market away from the cloud, it does suggest that we're looking a little bit overextended as well. So that also raises doubt about whether we will see the market trade down to these lower pivot point support areas. Moving next to the US dollar Japanese yen, and here today we've seen some strong buying in the market. Another white body candle on the back of the previous day's large white body candle and bouncing off the Kijun-sen support. That support has held in the recent past, and it certainly may continue to offer as support for the next day's trading. Currently trading at 123.21 is the Kijun-sen, and we should be watching that as a very important area moving forward. Today's trading has also breached the Tenkan indicator, trading at 123.45 at the moment. A bullish breakout up above there suggests that we now have a bullish market in all three timeframes, and this bullish close has seen the buyers take very strong control of the market, showing very strong commitment and building on the strong momentum that we saw for the previous day's trading. The problem here may be that the market did test to the top of this highlighted zone of resistance, as evidenced by this orange rectangle. And in the recent past, we have seen this area acting as support, and then in the recent past as resistance. So a lot now is going to depend on how the market reacts over the next day or so. We have seen a small shadow develop on the top, and that represents the buyers losing a little bit of commitment. The buyers unable to close above that area, so it is going to be an important area. If we do see the market breach through there, 124.70 may offer itself as some strong resistance, and then we have potentially strong resistance at the major swing high at 125.85. As I've mentioned, if we do see the market trade lower, obviously the Kijun-sen support 123.24 is going to be important, as will now the Tenkan-sen support at 123.45, and that Tenkan-sen is trading around the bottom of that highlighted zone, which was the extent of the support from the indecisive trading that we saw a couple of weeks ago. In terms of the hourly charts, and previously we saw the market trading down below the Ichimoku cloud, finding some resistance there a couple of days ago and selling off from there. Then for yesterday's trading within the cloud, and then for today, this session it has just finished breaching the cloud. Some strong follow through on some bullish candles, some resistance coming in roughly around the first pivot point resistance level, then roughly around the second level, and then the first pivot point resistance level acting as support throughout the trading day, as well as the Kijun-sen acting as support. For today's trading in this new session, we have opened above the middle pivot point level. That's acting as support now. We also have the Kijun-sen trading at 123.80 and the middle pivot point level 123.81. So we're very strong support around that region. If the buyers are strong enough to continue the trend to the upside, we have potential resistance at the first pivot point resistance level 124.31. But if we do see some strong selling coming into the market early and breaching down through the Kijun-sen and the middle pivot point level, and a strong bearish close down below there, we could easily see the market testing down to the first pivot point support level at 123.45, or then even beyond. Now, throughout the trading day, we will see the Ichimoku cloud actually move higher, and if price action doesn't move down lower, we could see that Ichimoku cloud support actually move up to meet price action, and it does move higher up to around where the market's trading at the moment towards the end of the trading day. Moving next to the Aussie dollar, US dollar, and if we look at this current candle here, it's very much out of character with what we saw with the Euro US dollar or the US dollar Japanese yen. Not as dynamic trading throughout the day, not as large a body to this candle, a very small body at the end of a downtrend here, and it suggests that the any downside momentum that we saw in the market over the previous couple of days, as evidenced by the small black bodies, has now finished, and it's suggesting that we could see a change of trend to the upside. Even though we have the trend to the downside with the current candle making a lower high and a lower low, we have seen the buyers take control by closing up towards the high. And I'll just zoom in. And here we see this larger shadow on the bottom of the candle representing the sellers losing commitment down around this previous support level at 76.72, and that has been an important level in the recent past. We also have the market trading in this pattern, something of a congestion area. We haven't seen a breakout as we saw with the Euro US dollar, and the bottom barrier has actually held as support for today's trading. So there's a possibility that if we do see the trend change, we could actually trade back up towards that up barrier. The market will need to breach some important resistance. 78 cents has been an important number in the recent past, and then we also have the Kijun-sen trading at 77.65, and then the Ichimoku cloud, the bottom of the cloud, trading very close to that upper barrier, so we're likely to see some strong resistance coming in around that area, with the Ichimoku cloud resistance at 78.46. Not a strong dynamic market, a lot of small bodied candles within this congestion area, certainly very much different than this previous downtrending price action that we saw with the majority of black body candles. But the opportunity is here for the sellers if they're strong enough. They're not taking that opportunity. They're finding some support every time we trade down near the bottom barrier of this wedge type pattern. Any breakout down below there, however, may see strong support down within this highlighted zone of support, extending down close to the 75-cent level. And to the hourly charts, and here we see a very different type of market than we saw with the other markets, trading down to the first pivot point support level for today's session, opening down below the middle pivot point level, then rallying throughout the day to find resistance once again around that middle level and also around the Kijun-sen, testing down towards the first pivot point support level, briefly testing down through there but failing to close in a bearish manner down below there, once again rallying up towards the middle pivot point level and finding resistance there, and then at the end of the day finding support at the Kijun-sen and the Tenkan-sen. For this new session we've opened above the middle pivot point level, but the market has rallied to find resistance at the Ichimoku cloud, and the top of that cloud coincides with the first pivot point resistance level at 77.62, so some very strong resistance overhead. If the market does sell off, and we're starting to see some selling coming in with this black body candle here breaching the Tenkan-sen support, if we do see a continuation of that sell-off, we're likely to continue to find some strong support around the Kijun-sen and the middle pivot point level, roughly around the 77.18 area. Throughout the rest of the trading day, however, we do have a very thin cloud, so if the buyers are going to build some momentum, there is an opportunity for them to breach out through the top of the Ichimoku cloud. But let's bear in mind those pivot point levels close by. 77.62 is the first one, the second is 77.91, and the third is 78.21. And to the downside, if we see the market breach down through the Kijun-sen and the middle level 77.18 in a bearish manner, the first pivot point support level is 76.90, and then the second level at 76.47.